just as loud as you.
Actual cases in the confines of a courthouse, but at the scene of the dispute.
We're going to do it my way.
This is Street Court.
What's poppin', fam? So hopefully you guys can hear. Hopefully the sound is right this time around. Now, this is Couples Court. We have Mr. Torres versus Love and Love. These are two individuals that last night in our live chat definitely had some discoveries pertaining to each individual. What's popping? Thank you so much, Empress. What's popping? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Torres versus Love and Love. Now, for those of you guys that were in the chat last night, you may have noticed the communication between the two individuals, and it was a lot of confirmation pertaining to the message that came out. Mind-blowing revelations. So we're going to do something different. Street Court, we're definitely going to get you guys the answers that you need when it comes to your relationship, and we are going to give you our verdict. Now, all of the moderators are going to be our bailiffs. If somebody get to tripping, they got to go. Hopefully, Mr. Torres and Miss Love and Loved is in the building. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into the message. Very interesting. Okay. So let's take a look at Mr. Torres. Now, Mr. Torres, there's a bed of lies that you've been sleeping on. And last night, you disclosed some of this information in the chat box. So you definitely admitted to multiple relationships and not being honest with the individual that you were with. But the question is, how did both of you individuals end up in the same reading at the same time? Very interesting. So let's go ahead and listen to Mr. Torres' spiritual statements and see what's going on. Now, Mr. Torres, the first song that actually came on for you was Bed of Lies by Nicki Minaj. Okay. Now, ding. Now, there has been some revelations when it comes to your case. Okay. You were very vocal last night. Okay. Looking for some sound advice when it comes to your relationship with Mrs. Love and Love. But there are some things that you did not disclose to Miss Love. She found out some interesting things in front of the entire world. And now somebody is threatening to leave or walk away from the relationship. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on. We thank you for reaching out for some sound advice. Okay, for being very vocal about what's going on in your relationship. Okay. So let's see. Dear Heavenly Father, what's going on with Mr. Torres? Now, I do feel as if there are some repetitive cycles that you may find yourself in. Okay, transformation. So these repetitive cycles that you have found yourself in, baby, it's time for you to undergo some type of transformation. You may have experienced a tower moment recently. Okay. And this could have even been last night with last night's situation. Now, I do feel as if amethyst could be significant. Okay. Even tourmaline, whether you utilize these crystals or not. Okay. There could definitely be a use for them when it comes to balancing out the situation, as well as balancing out your emotions. Now, somebody is moving at a snail's pace, and this could even be when it comes to making changes. I do feel as if somebody is more invested in the more intimate side of things, sex, contracts. You may have some soul contracts with other individuals. There's a lack of desire. There's also fatigue. You could feel like somebody overreacts and could be very dramatic. So let's see, what is your statement when it comes to love and love? Okay, because you also said last night that you had multiple people. Okay, that was after you. Okay, so peace. You want some peace in this situation. Somebody's mental health may not be up to par. Okay, par. It's not up to par. Okay. Now, somebody could have threatened some type of suicide ideation. There could even be suicidal ideation. Okay. So you've been learning your person. You've spent time learning them mentally. But this is the thing. Last night in the chat box, I recall a statement of right when I said something pertaining to an individual liking the Raiders. And you said, yeah, that's her. And I believe Mrs. Love stated that she did not like the Raiders. So it looks like you feel like you have spent time observing and watching your person. You feel like you know them well enough. But one of the complaints last night was that you did not even know what this individual's favorite team was. So are you truly learning your person? Or is there some passive aggressive behavior in the relationship? Somebody's a runner, okay? So do you feel like she runs away when things get hard? See, in the beginning, you saw peace in the connection. Okay. You could even feel as if Mrs. Love and Beloved keeps you in your head, makes you feel down pertaining to self. But with this suicidal ideation being here, for one, somebody has spent time thinking about this. And if anybody has the number 2, any mental health, behavioral health hotlines, could you please put it in the chat box, baby? Thank you. Because what I'm starting to see is that you find yourself in, it has nothing to do with love and loved. You have found yourself in repetitive cycles when it comes to your own mental health. You may find yourself at times going through highs and lows, especially when it comes to your emotions and suicidal ideation or even thoughts. Now, and again, this is us looking at how you feel towards love and love. But the real underlying issue within the relationship, it stems from cycles that you find yourself in, as well as the individuals that you find yourself attracting. She may not be the first individual that you may feel like suffers from some type of mental health disparity. Mm-hmm. And I also feel as if this is reflective even in messages back and forth between the two of you. Somebody may feel like they're not getting their point across with the other individual. There could be constant text messages. Somebody still has more to say. Okay, somebody has trust issues. We're just going to take a couple cards. Okay. For Miss Love. Okay. Overall energy. Shower me with gifts to show me that you care. Thank you so much, Divine J, for the National Suicide Prevention number. Okay. So shower you with care. So both of you guys like attention. Okay. So let's see. So correction to that number. Okay, so you want some peace. Peace of mind. Okay. Do you feel as if somebody complains a lot, Mr. Torres? You may also feel as if Mrs. Love, she plays mind games. Okay. Could be all over the place mentally. Somebody likes to threaten to hurt themselves. Okay. So at times you can feel, okay. So who's instigating? Hmm. Hmm. So you feel as if Miss Love triggers you at times. Okay. But you have the puppets and dolls here. So I feel as if at times, yes, you may want some type of peace in this situation. However, somebody keeps pulling these strings, keeps manipulating the other person. Mm-hmm. Okay, come on. You have to take better care of your mental health. That is going to be important if either of you are wanting this relationship to work. But we got to get down to the bottom of this, because the evidence says that there are deeper issues in this relationship. Now, last night you did disclose that you have partaken in a same-sex relationship. Okay, you could have felt like that relationship was a recipe for disaster. It was a one-night stand. Okay, and you were trying to accomplish something. Now, you could have been looking for advice. You were looking for a shoulder to lean on. Now, the question is this something that Miss Love knew of prior to entering into the relationship with you? Because the evidence that we will show later on, it does let us know that she found out a lot of stuff within last night's video. Now, I do feel as if at times you could feel like you have to take care of yourself on the down low. Maybe you feel like you can't tell Miss Love exactly what it is that you're going to go and do. Okay. Okay. So there's a midlife crisis. Somebody is panicking. Okay. Okay. So you're trying to work on some new opportunities. But there's a lack of trust. And because of the lack of trust, you could feel as if anytime you want to go and do something by yourself, or anytime you just want time to yourself, Mrs. Love does not believe you. But that could be because of a pattern of behavior. Somebody feels intimidated. Somebody also is forcing the other person out of their comfort zone, forcing somebody to grow up. When things get hard, someone's mental health, it changes. They could be very pessimistic, a lack of belief in self. Now, with all of these energies that are attached to you, Mr. Torres, it makes it very confusing for you to distinguish what energy is going to be yours versus the energy of other individuals. You could be picking up energy from other individuals. And if you are sexually active, not saying that you are, but if you are sexually active with more than one individual, the energy transference between all of these different individuals could be causing the suicidal ideation. And I will be honest, somebody has spent time thinking about different ways of doing things. Somebody just wants to be at peace. Somebody's just looking for peace. What's the underlying cause of the suicidal ideation? Your sexuality. So you've struggled with this for some time. Who you are as an individual. There could have been some type of shame associated to what you are drawn to, what you desire. It could even be seen as being taboo in your community. But you cannot allow this to control your mental state. Baby, you got to accept you. You have to understand who you are. You're not living for anybody else. But see, when you were unsure of yourself, of what you want, where you are going, you can bleed out onto other people your pain, your sorrows. If what you truly desire, baby, is something that you are keeping secretive, baby, it's time for you to accept who you are. It is okay if everybody else does not accept you, as long as you accept you. You cannot live for other people. The heart loves what the heart loves. Never be ashamed of love. Love comes in many forms and fashions. But you cannot keep allowing society to dictate how you feel mentally. Can I get a bailiff for the comments that have the VUM dot today? Those are bots. Can I have a bailiff remove Wilma? Those are robots. If you are a moderator and you ever see those in the comment section, if you just go on and sit them to the side. It's time for you to do some healing, Mr. Torres. Because you have spent time contemplating what it is that you want to do. Don't allow temporary emotions to cause you to make a decision that will not just change your life, but the lives of those around you. You are more valuable and important than even what you think of yourself at this moment. Now, and if this is not you, because of course we said that we were going to look at Miss Love, how you perceive the relationship. But based on the evidence from last night's message, there are some things that inwardly you, baby, have to work on. It has nothing to do with Miss Love. And it is unfortunate that throughout this journey, some people happen to be the catalyst that spirals us into this change that we didn't even realize we were going in. I can guarantee you that this situation is unfortunate for both individuals involved. Because even being a masculine energy and identifying as bisexual, it can be conflicting. Okay? So let's see. The CE hours. So you spent time in this relationship. There is a spark there. But you do feel like Miss Love triggers you. Okay. So let's look at Miss Love. Miss Love feels like there are degrading acts that somebody keeps running away from. The communication between the two of you, somebody keeps running away. And there's a lack of hope that the two of you will be able to heal certain things within the relationship. Somebody is wanting a commitment. And last night, Miss Love took a look at a lot of your statements also. You were shocked at the fact that parts of your relationship was being exposed on YouTube, as well as what was taking place sexually between you and your partner. But I also noticed that you made a statement that you were wanting children. Now, I'm not sure if you were wanting children or to start a family dynamic with Mr. Torres. But before you bring a child into this equation, you have to realize that there are some unhealed inner childhood wounds that both individuals have to work on. And if you bring a child in this environment, as it currently is, the child suffers. Not you or Mr. Torres. Okay. So you feel like there's some degrading acts. Every time you ask questions, Mr. Torres starts to run from the questions. You could even potentially feel like Mr. Torres has been keeping a relationship on the down low. And in fact, he did admit to lying last night to you. But both of you kept expressing how much you loved each other in the chat box. Okay. Somebody likes things neat. So somebody feels like they have to do degrading acts in order to fulfill another person's destiny. Even when it comes to making up, the makeup and breakup in the relationship. These degrading acts can stem from anything too sexual to just putting up with certain behaviors that you normally would not put up with. And just like I talked with Mr. Torres, we are going to talk with you. Okay. Self-love is key. Every time you want to try to overcome some type of obstacle, work through the problem, somebody runs away. And then somebody goes back to feeding into the individual's repetitive cycles, which ultimately makes you feel as if your value as an individual has lowered. At times you may ask yourself, why did I do this? Why did I do that? You're also going to get a notification. I pick up the energy that there are abandonment issues. Somebody is afraid to either be alone or somebody has to work on self-love, acknowledging one's own behavior and how one shows up in the relationship. Because every time Mr. Torres flees from answering your questions, You feel like there's a lack of hope, but yet you find yourself going back to the situation, hoping that you will be able to fulfill your destiny. But you never really get answers. You're hoping to get stuff accomplished, but now there's a lack of hope. So you decide to take a break. This is what your intuition has told you, that your person, every time that the two of you take a break, they may be escaping for their own sexual desires. Somebody could have even taken some type of trip recently. Risky behavior. So when one person refuses to engage in the other's behavior, you feel as if they're just going to go and get it elsewhere or do it elsewhere. They're going to make plans. You're so over the bullshit. But if you're over the bullshit, why keep playing the game? You have to be a willing participant in order to stay on the hamster wheel. What are these degrading acts? Let's take a look at these degrading acts, just like we took a look at the suicide ideation. Don't feel like I'm all up in your business now. What are these degrading acts? Okay. So you feel like you have to spy on Mr. Torres. You didn't want to spy, but you feel like you have to watch. So therefore, you have already put the individual in a position of being a child, because you feel like you have to monitor the individual's behaviors. That's a form of control. Mr. Torres is not a child, and neither are you. If you have to watch the individual that you are in a relationship with as if they are a child, are you paying daycare fees, baby? If you have to watch them to make sure that the behavior is appropriate, then it's time for you to reevaluate the relationship. Drugs may be involved. So someone may be taking drugs to cope with a relationship, could be taking drugs even just to do degrading acts. So how did both of them end up in the same reading? Somebody could have tried to block the other person, okay? A date night. Now, y'all could have planned this. Okay, somebody has a big ego. Somebody's getting tired of secrets. You got Prince over here singing Kiss. Somebody had a new date. So what have you seen, Miss Torres, while you were spying? What all have you seen while spying? Did I call you Miss Torres? I'm sorry, Miss Love. What all have you seen while spying on Mr. Torres? So you see pressure. You can see parental issues. Somebody needing to set boundaries. You try not to make Mr. Torres feel targeted, but did not look at this. This is like a parent-child relationship that the two of you may have with soul ties of sex. That is how the relationship is treated. Individuals lie out of a fear of being in trouble. Children lie to their parents out of a fear of being in trouble. So again, this goes back to you feeling like you have to watch the individual in order to keep them in line, to make sure that they are following the boundaries that you have put into place. Miss Love, if you want to control something, I advise you to get a dog or a child. Not a grown-ass man. When you establish a relationship, you should want to establish a relationship with an adult, someone who can make logical decisions for their life. Not an individual that you can control or that you have to tell what to do. Because if you have to tell them what to do, did they really want to do it? If you have to tell somebody to treat you with respect, how much respect do they really have for you? If you have to tell the person to take the trash out, what were they doing before you, baby? Living in a mess? Your assignment is not to control anyone, but to learn to control oneself. Which every individual here knows. It takes a lot to master that ability, one's self. Because the spirit is willing, but the flesh be weak. Before you try to control or get another individual to follow your orders, you have to make sure that you are in alignment yourself. So, let's take a look at some spiritual evidence. So as you can see, screenshot number 1 of the conversation between Mr. Torres and Mrs. Love. Okay. Now, I'm not able to truly see these right now, but I took a look at them earlier. We want to give this to those who are in the jury. Evidence number 2 of the conversation. Evidence number 3. You have evidence number 4. Okay. We have evidence number 5. Very intimate conversations. Number 6. And last but not least, number 7. Any objections before we get to y'all verdict? Okay. Any objections? So let's go ahead and get your spiritual verdict. I truly enjoyed this first time doing this. I would definitely like it if more of y'all just came and just looked. So let's fix it with me and my person, me and my family. So, spiritual verdict. This is a time where both of you guys are needing to do your own inner healing, your own inner work. Okay. This may be separate of each other if you're truly wanting to heal and work through your own traumas. Each individual has their own trauma that they are needing to address. Okay. And you may definitely need to work with professionals. Okay. Especially if you are wanting to make this relationship work. St. John's wort could also be significant. Okay. You're needing to protect yourself. Both of you individuals need to protect yourself, even if it is from the other person's toxic behavior. You need to protect yourself from your own toxic behavior. You definitely need to work with someone. Someone, again, in the profession that could actually help you when it comes to dealing with relationship challenges and issues. There's a need for wisdom and stop trying to adapt to the other person's behavior. It's a lot of unexpected things that come with this relationship, and both of you have to work on your mistrust. You don't want to talk about it. There's issues when it comes to the throat chakra also. And both of you have to work on accepting not just yourself, but the other individual for who they truly are. Once you start accepting that, baby, all that hostility that you feel within, we talked about this last night. The hostility that you feel within, the hostility in the environment, it changes once you begin to change. You cannot look towards the other individual to be your source of healing. You have to heal yourself. You keep going back to a situation where there is a lack of trust. How can you build trust with each other if you can't even talk to each other face to face? Y'all had a conversation in a chat box in front of the entire world to see. Nobody is pointing finger or blame. Everything happens for a reason because both of you needed to get down to the bottom of the situation. But it was toxic behaviors that led both of you into the same room. One looking for the other, and the other looking for an escape, a safe place to be vulnerable and express what they have been holding on to for some time. Now, there are multiple errors in this situation. And again, nobody is pointing blame. Accountability goes on both sides. 1, don't ever treat spirituality as a joke, as a way to just spy on another individual. That is a sacred relationship between that individual and their higher source. The boundaries between the physical and the spiritual were crossed last night. Now, had both of you just been in there to get a message, it would have been different. But one individual follows the other individual into a chat room, not allowing them the opportunity or space to worship or even get a message, shows a level of control. Somebody has to control every aspect of another individual's life. How did you feel when someone tried to control you, baby? How did it feel growing up, not feeling like you had the control, but everybody else took the control? See, the reason why you feel you have to control is because you realize that you truly do not have the control that you seek. But again, it is because you are seeking to control another individual instead of controlling your own actions. How we treat people and how we treat spirituality, it is a shame. Because if you can't even go to your sacred space, to a community where you feel you can be vulnerable with what you are going through without feeling like somebody has to follow you or is following you into that speaks volumes of the relationship and the lack of trust that the two of you have for each other. Next, if the relationship was already built on a foundation of mistrust, ain't no way in hell you're going to be able to keep building on that foundation and think that it is going to survive, because the entire relationship was a lie from the beginning. Nobody should ever have to go into a spiritual message to actually not just hear what is being said or going on in your relationship, but to actually see your person communicating and confirming what they have done. That's some hurtful shit. To find out that your person is in all of these different relationships. Finding out while everybody else is finding out. When y'all are in close proximity to each other, y'all are closer to each other than anybody who was in that chat last night. So the two of you have to learn how to communicate. There is no communication between y'all. Next, if you know that you are dealing with someone in the spiritual community, you have an inkling that your person is following you over into the spiritual community, don't put your damn business in these streets. Because while social media is up making a mockery of what you have to live through, the key word is, baby, you have to live through it. Next, if you feel like you have to keep secrets about your sexuality from the person that you are in a sexual relationship with, then baby, maybe you shouldn't be in that relationship. The person that you open your body to, you should be able to have a conversation with them face to face about who you are as a person, what you desire sexually, and what you need from them, not just on a sexual level, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually also. The secrets is what destroys any relationship. And then finding those secrets out again on social media. It makes you question whether the person ever loved you or cared for you. It makes you question what about the relationship was ever even true. You have to accept the fact that there is mistrust in your relationship. That the hostility did not just start, it's always been there. If a person is hostile with themselves, baby, how are they going to take care of and love you? And who got a side? Well, hell, it's a whole lot of side pieces. Multiple players playing games. I have to ask you, do you feel like you should have to wake up every day and check social media websites to make sure that your person is not degrading or disrespecting you? Is that what you envision, baby, for your life? When you wake up, the first thing you should be checking is your word for the day in your bank account. And if you got kids, you should be checking on them, not a grown ass person. I got to check to make sure that my bitch is doing what they supposed to do. Because apparently if they ain't doing what they supposed to do, apparently they ain't your bitch. Everybody knows etiquette in relationships. You treat people the way that you want to be treated. Yeah, I said it. If you got to keep checking on them, they ain't your bitch. They somebody else's. Just figure out where you fall at in the equation. And if you know your role, then play your position. Okay. And I promise both of y'all better definitely go and talk to a trained professional to work on these things. It's not about the other person. This has so much more to do with each person themselves. Don't make this about Mr. Torres, and Mr. Torres, don't make this about Miss Love. And if somebody is doing spell work, what did you think was going to expect? What did you think was going to happen? What do you expect? Somebody could have did some type of protection spell or felt like they needed to protect themselves from the other person. I'm not even going to go any further into this spell work and the spiritual kit. But what I will say is that if you did any type of spiritual kit on either party, this is exactly the thing that happens. When you do love spells. Nothing good comes from them. Because both people have to deal with their emotions, whether you want to be honest with yourself. If you pick up glass, you get cut. And you picked up broken glass. So why be surprised when you get cut? And that's if somebody did spell work. But I'm not going to go into that. Okay. There's blockages. Definitely feel as if you need to look into chakra healing. And it's time for one of y'all to accept the fact that, baby, this is toxic love. The way that you've been loving yourself is toxic. I didn't call you toxic. I said the way you love yourself. I love you, both of you. I thank both of you guys for even feeling comfortable enough to get into the chat box and put all your damn business in these streets, honey. But don't do it again. Work on the relationship in the home. And if you cannot get along, then move on. But don't make the other person suffer. Court is adjourned.